Greetings, fellow humans. I'm MartianBuu, and today I'm playing Terapagos EX in Pokemon Live. This is the paper card game's digital client. This is a Terapagos list. There's really nothing that special about it, other than it's the 60 I used to win 2 cups last weekend and the weekend before. I had a really good time playing with it. I feel like this deck has a lot of agency, and I think if you enjoy Pokemon Pocket, you'll enjoy regular paper Pokemon as well. I hope you enjoy the games, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, so this is almost a good start. So we want to have the Fan Rotom. Having Fan Rotom and Pidgey and Buddy Poffin is a little excessive. Did my MMR like plummet? Okay, now we're good. They just did a big MMR reset, so I'm a little surprised to see so much like off meta stuff this morning. I'm used to seeing only like the big stuff, but they just redid the ladder completely and I haven't climbed yet, so I'm wondering if I'm just like, you know, they've put me back in the general pool. Anyways, so I have a Noctowl already in hand. There are 2 Hoothoot in my deck, so that means 2 are prize, unlucky. So we don't actually need anything. I could Poffin for, I guess, 1 Duskull. That's probably worth doing. Yeah, I want the other 2 slots for Hoothoots. I've really calmed down. So this deck is a deck that I won 2 cups with 2 weekends in a row. So I won the Sacramento Cup, and then after I came back a week later, I went to a local cup and I won that one too. Over the course of playing this deck, I've really calmed down on the need to have a Duskull going right away. Like, I'd much rather have several Noctowl to ensure that I get set up, and then Dusknoir to help me finish stuff off later, than to like front load a bunch of Duskull and then, you know, run out of gas, I guess. So if all 4 Noctowl, or if even 3 Noctowl had been in my or Hoothoot rather had been in my deck and not in my prize cards, then I would have filled my bench here with Hoothoots. But since I didn't have that option, might as well get a Duskull going, I guess. See, like, you never see this card in competitive environments. Discard up to 3 seconds. Huh. This deck does 120 to each of your opponent's Pokemon B. Deck of all time. Alright, so hopefully we have Feather Ball in the deck. We do. So the Feather Ball is nice because it allows us to search for Pidgeot without having to discard 2 cards like we do with Ultra Ball. So I'm going to get Feather Ball and a Rare Candy. I'm going to search for the Pidgeot with the Feather Ball. Rare Candy to make a Pidgeot. Then I don't really have enough card advantage to like do literally everything I'd like to do this turn. I could go like Rare Candy, Professor's Research. So I think I'm just going to be ahead all game, so I don't have to worry about making use of this counter catcher. So discarding that doesn't matter too much. And then I have everything I would have quick searched for. So now what do I quick search for? Probably the stadium. So the stadium gives me extra bench space if I have a Terra Pokemon out. Area 0 Underdepths. So it gives me 3 extra if I have a Terra. That allows me to bench more things and deal more damage. So this is not going down unless I Dusknoir it. This I could get rid of right now. Prevent all effects of your opponent's Pokemon's abilities done to each of your Pokemon that has any psychic energy attached. Oh. So I'm glad I read that before I've never seen that card before in my life, right? Nobody plays this. But I'm glad I read it before I cracked my Duskull and knocked that out. So I have to bench this to do the full damage. No, I don't, right? No, I do, okay. Anyways, so here comes the Prime Catcher. Bring that up. Bring this up. And we'll go ahead and dispose of this. And we'll be free to Dusknoir our opponent's Mewtwo V star. Is this the one with the full rolls? It is. Stream title also says Hearthstone Pokemon Pocket. Yeah, that's the YouTube one just always says that. Yeah, that's its permanent title. Is he just popping off? Yeah, okay, so that's the fun thing about Pokemon, is it's like all the fun of getting to play 1,000 cards in Hearthstone, but without any of the you just automatically win when you do all that stuff, because it's gated behind how many prizes you can take in a turn. Yeah, opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. Well, that's not great. What does this do? So interesting. So I think my Marshy plan... I like the idea of putting this Hoothoot on my bench. I don't like being confused though. So maybe... get rid of that. Then we'll put the Hoothoot. And then just get a switch. We'll switch to Pidgeot and then retreat back. And then I'll take care of the confusion. Then do I want to Iono? Probably not. Only reduces their hand size by 1, and I have a Noctowl currently. And an Ultra Ball and stuff that I wouldn't mind discarding. So I have access to a lot of my deck as it is, so I don't think it's Iono time. Is there a bench limit? The bench limit is 5. It gets extended by 3 because I have a Terra Pokemon and I have this stadium in play. So each player who has a Terra Pokemon in play can have up to 8 Pokemon on their bench. So normally it's 5, but Terra Pokemon is, let's see. How do I actually show that to you? It's covered up by this little, this is unique to the digital client. They make the HP really big, but you don't have to do that. It's covering up where it says Terra. But you can see the rule, right? It says as long as this Pokemon is in your bench, blah, 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 Pokemon by attacks. So it can't take damage while it's on the bench from attacks, is the Terra rule, but that's the Terra rule. Did they just devolve all my stuff? That is so rude. So wait, that's so helpful to me. This does, so when I play this from my hand, if I have a Terra Pokemon in play, I get to search my deck for any 2 trainer cards. So devolving that is great for me because now I can use it again. But yeah, all I'm gonna get is Rare Candy. Is Dustnoir in here? No, it's not, right? Because I used it already. So we get Rare Candy and we get Night Stretcher. Night Stretcher lets me get a Pokemon back out of my discard pile. Boom. So I can Rare Candy that back. I also could have just boss's orders for the Dedenne, but I guess this is cuter. So yeah, this lets me knock it out to deal 130 to the Pokemon of my choice. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll just Unified Beatdown for the last 2 prizes. Is this Pokemon live? It is, with all its heart. That's plenty, right? Yeah, that's plenty. Pokemon Live makes Pokemon Pocket look like tic-tac-toe. It is, but like, I don't know. I think Pokemon Pocket has a very specific mission in mind, right? So it's not like that's not good for what it is. I have 2 Pidgeys, so I'm kind of tempted to put one of those up, but I'm gonna go get more Hoothoot. And I don't want multiple Pidgeot out, so. Uh-oh. Okay, so we're up against a real deck this time. This is the Charizard deck. There's a chance that it's just the battle-ready deck one, though. They like sell you the components for basically the best deck in the. Okay, no, it's an actual version of the list. They sell you a like most of the component pieces for one of the best decks in the game these days. So it's like $30, you get the whole deck, and you get, it's the Charizard Pidgeot deck, and you get the most expensive A-Spec trainer card, which is normally like $27, but then they came out with this, and now you can have that whole deck for $30, and the, you know, everything after the A-Spec is just basically icing. I have a Noctowl in my hand already. I wonder if I just don't bother filling. Like wasting a bench spot on the Rotom. Right? It's weird. So normally I want to get that Rotom because it lets me get 3 other colorless things with 100 or less HP, which includes Noctowl, right? So I can like finish filling out my bench with whatever Pidgey and Hoothoot I didn't get with other stuff, and then whatever's left over I start getting Noctowls to be able to evolve them. Evolutions are a little bit pricey to search for in the meta right now, like unusually hard to search your deck for an evolution. There's basically only Ultra Ball, which discards 2 cards from your hand to go search for it. So you really don't want to do that if you can avoid it. And so it becomes nice to use Fan Rotom to get a couple of Noctowls that way, so that you don't have to discard cards to go get your evolutions. But I already had so many of the basics that I would just be Rotoming for the Owl. I can't decide if that was good or not. Am I talking about Prime Catcher? Yeah. So yeah, I was wondering if maybe, because I think that one has this Pidgey, which is not the right Pidgey. This is a better Pidgey in a vacuum, but it's not the right one because of what I'm about to do to my opponent in all likelihood, which is I'm about to evolve into Dustclops and knock it out to deal 50 to the Pidgey. So now you want to have a 60 HP Pidgey to dodge Dustclops ability. That Pidgey has a better attack, like if you start with it, it's better to have it. Let's just see if the Dusclops is even in here before okay, it is. So I want Rare Candy and Feather Ball. It's really important to get out of Pidgeot because it's the only way in this deck to search for double turbo energy, which you need for like to attack with Terapagos. But also just every turn being able to get the one card that you otherwise have trouble finding is like really clutch. So there's that. Okay, so cool, we got to extend our bench, and also we pulled bench fillers as well as Ultra Balls. So I got this. I guess I'm going to use the, yeah, okay. Poop. All right. Fan Rotom can only be used on the first turn, which is why it's a little bit like sus that I didn't do it. But anyways, I want a Dusk. I need a switching card, and I need the Dustclops. I think I'm going to use Quick Search for the Dustclops so I don't have to discard for Ultra Ball. And obviously I'm gonna get the switch from this, but then what else do I want? I only have one Terapagos out, which means if it gets knocked out, I'm gonna have to discard bench stuff. So I guess I'll get a Nest Ball to get another Terapagos. And that'll be that. Okay. Here's the Dustclops. You know what I maybe should have done? I maybe should have just... I suppose I could still do it. I could Ultra Ball discarding the Pidgeot, which I don't need anymore, and the other Ultra Ball, or whatever I get off of this prize card. And then... Oh no, never mind. The I was thinking I could use that to search for another Duskull, so that next turn I can do this again if I want to. But the problem is... it's in the prizes, the second Duskull. So maybe we're getting Noctowl, not you. And then we can get Hisuian Heavy Ball and or Night Maintenance. There's a Night Maintenance. And there's my Heavy Ball. Is that what I want? Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, I'll go get the other Duskull out of the prizes. My Thornton's prized, my catcher's prized. All right, so Thornton was gonna be how I would get out another Duskull if I wasn't able to find the Heavy Ball, like next turn if I wanted to do it. But that's prized too, so that was not an option for me. Switch for my Terapagos, knock out the Charmeleon, and everyone's happy, especially me. Why is she down here like Red wandered off Mount Silver into Pallet Town? It's true. It's true. Oh, I got my Heavy Ball back. Wow. This is a lot more complicated than how I remember Pokemon. I only played paper and not very well at all a long time ago. Yeah, I guess it's become a little bit more involved lately. So like, I was going through the history of competitive paper TCG a little while ago, and I was a little surprised that like searching your deck for a Pokemon actually wasn't that much of a thing until like the Neo series. Like, you had the Boss's Way in Team Rocket, which lets you search for an evolution. And was that only a dark evolution? It might have been. I forget. It's been a long time. And then you got like Good Manners to search for basics in somewhere in Gym Heroes or something like that. And you could only search for it if you otherwise, like, you had to show your hand to your opponent and there were no basics in it. Right, and then you could search your deck for a basic from your deck. So unless you were playing starting in like 2002, right, there wasn't nearly as much like deck searching and stuff as there is now. Do I want to go first? Yes, always first. So the problem with starting Terapagos in the active is if they're playing Raging Bolt, it just gets knocked out and I'm really sad. So Fan Rotom active is good. The start is also just overall really, really good. So I'll just be happy about it. Uh-oh. So depending on what the Radiant Greninja, the deck attached to that Radiant Greninja is, it could be bad for me. Going first helps a lot with that though. So the Radiant Greninja gets used in a lot of decks just for its ability. Its ability is to discard a basic energy from your, or just an energy rather, from your hand, and you get to search your, you get to draw 2 cards. So that alone is very good. So a lot of decks run it just for that. Water decks get to use its attack though, which is absolutely stupid. So it's 3 for discard 2 energies from the Radiant Greninja, and you get to do 90 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And if I go second, the decks that play the water energy to be able to use Radiant Greninja can use that attack on the second turn. And they're gonna knock out my Pidgey and one of my Hoothoots before they ever get to evolve and do anything. but the fact that I go first makes that less of a liability. This deck, however, can't attack with the Radiant Greninja. It's just in here for draw. They're trying to get out early Miraidons for 220, so that with this item, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and attach to basic lightning energy you find there to your bench lightning Pokemon in any way you like. So the deck is built to maximize being able to get energy off of the electric generator, and then attack early with either Miraidon if you're facing a basic 2-prizer like Terapagos, or Iron Hands, who has 4 for 120, and then if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by this, take 1 more prize. So if it's something like the Fan Rotom, they would want to attack with Ampy very much to be able to take 2 prizes still. And so their goal is to attack 3 times, take 2 prizes each time, and win. So this is the extra large version of Pocket. It is the extra large version of Pocket. Pocket XL. So they did not manage to attack on the first turn, which is really bad for that deck. That deck typically wants to attack on the first turn. Okay, so I want this. And you know, I might just want a Professor's Research. Okay, so I do this. Something's getting Ultra Balled, so it's Pidgey and... yeah, if there's a Terapagos in my deck, I guess I'll discard this Terapagos. Alright. And then I can use that to get another Noctowl, and we'll use that to make our... oh, I didn't even check. Should have checked. So if the Feather Ball isn't in my deck, this plan is kind of bad. Because the Feather Ball is what allows me to search for Pidgeot without having to discard cards, and it looks like it is in the prizes, so that's unlucky. But it was avoidable if I'd taken the time to check for it. So I guess I want this. We'll try to knock out Latios rather. And then still have bench slots open, so I guess I'll get a Nest Ball. Neat. Okay, so play the Nest Ball. We'll get maybe this for now. Seems fine. Play this. Do this. Hope and pray we get a DCE. it's DTE. I'm years of saying double colorless energy. This is double turbo energy. All right, we got everything we wanted. Good for us. So discarding Fan Rotom and is that the Rare Candy or it's Underdepths? This deck is probably going to have Underdepths in it, which means we probably won't need multiple copies of it. We still have one more if we need it. So yeah, discard those. I'll get my Pidgeot. We get to go Rare Candy Pidgeot, and then so I do this. This Vitality Man I'm going to hold on to. It's nice because with the Loss Remover, we can set this back to 230 HP. It has 50 bonus HP from the tool it has on it. So we can Lost Vacuum the tool off, then it'll have 230. Terapagos hits for 220. This will increase that to 230. So I need to save that for the Terapagos that's going to attack the Iron Hands. In the meantime, I'm going to get a Dusknoir. It's nice to be able to use a quick search on something important like this while I can, because I have nothing else I need for this turn. So now I won't have to like Ultra Ball Dusknoir if I end up needing to quick search for double turbo energy next turn, basically. So that's pretty nice for me. That was a really good research. Yesterday I learned that Pidgeot with quick search ability was printed all the way back in 2004. I remember that one. I was over the weekend, I was in Sacramento. I was trying to decide if I thought that Pidgeot was better for its time or if this Pidgeot was better for its time now. The other Pidgeot I think was probably better because it was played in more decks, like it was more important to its time. Tutors were still softer back then when you compare them to currently, and stage 2s were generally better back then, so like you were running Rare Candy in more things, so you would splash Pidgeot in more things. And with quick search, you just splash it in everything that runs a Rare Candy, pretty much. But this Pidgeot is unkillable. This thing has 280 health. It is so much. The other one was pretty fragile for its time. Basically, every deck could knock it out easily in one hit. But most decks don't one-shot this thing without having to do something like crack their Dusknoir to hit the right number. So, I mean, like, a lot of decks can, right? There are a lot of decks that have basically infinite damage. So I was trying to think, like, which one is better, but I don't know, they're both just really good. That Pidgeot had the old Rare Candy that didn't wait a turn. I think that's part of the reason why stage 2s were generally better, but also because the power was better distributed by level. Like, to get to stage 2 power, you had to get to stage 2 most of the time, whereas nowadays you find stage 2 power on basics a lot of the time. But yeah, Haley, they made Pokemon Pocket into a PC game. What's next? A physical card game? I know, right? Working backwards. Opponent is thinking about it. Oh, do they just give up? I wonder if they have the... They might just like not have anything, right? Because their start wasn't great. But start setting up our other Terapagos, I guess. But there's a quest that requires you to complete a certain amount of matches without conceding, so it could be that my opponent, rather than just concede, because they can't win at this point, it's over. Like, they would have needed to definitely come back and do something this turn. So they might just be playing it out rather than just conceding because they have the quest that says complete 2 matches without conceding. Is there a bench space limit in this deck? Yes, it's 5. I'm running a special stadium that lets me run 8. So each player who has a Terra Pokemon in play can have up to 8 Pokemon on their bench. And Terapagos is a Terra Pokemon. What signifies being a Terra Pokemon is hidden under this weird like thing that Pokemon Live insists on putting, but like, I have the real card somewhere. I can just show you. Oh, they conceded. Opponent was inactive for too long. Okay, so they were just upset. But anyways, it's like this. You can see it. Yeah, you can't really see it. So like right under the health there, it says Terra. And then you have the Terra rule that says that the Pokemon can't take damage from attacks on the bench. So that's how that is. I've been trying to play the second Pokemon TCG game on Game Boy Color. It's rough. Like, it's harder than the first one. I've never played it because they never released an English version. You thought it was Magic the Gathering for a second. Wow, I'm just high rolling these coin flips today. How long does an average game take? It depends on what deck you're playing. And it depends on whether you're playing digital or paper. But I think they actually have... I've noticed that, like, these games aren't quite as grueling as they used to be, and part of that I think is just because I'm not playing Gardevoir EX all the time anymore. For a while, like, it's just... Gardevoir EX is a deck that takes forever to to finish its games, because it kind of just comes back from behind all the time. And while I was playing that, you know, like, it could be half an hour, but to finish a game. But I think that they've done some work on the animations, right? Like, it's not taking as long to complete each action as it used to be. All right, so I like to, like, when I'm playing in person, I like to just quickly check for my one-ofs. So we have Thorton, Briar's in the prizes, and Prime Catcher's in the prizes, unless it's in my hand. All right, and Feather Ball. Feather Ball is important. Where's Feather Ball? It is there. All right, so we have Feather Ball, we have Switch. Looks like most of our important one-ofs are here. Oh, Dusknoir. Is Dusknoir in my hand? It is. Oops. Okay, so that's done. I need still a... Oh, this is kind of bad, actually. So, I guess Pidgey. If we don't... Because we need a Terra Pokemon to use our Noctowls. So unless we top deck Terapagos, Nest Ball, or something like that, it's not good. Also, I can't bench this Duskull here because I need a spot open to play Terapagos before I get the bench space, right? Like, I can't have a full bench, play Area 0 Underdepths, and then play Terapagos. It needs to be on the field first before my bench is full. So, I can't play the Duskull yet, is my point. It's just boring. There's only so many times you can play Haymaker Farfetch'd. Ah, yeah. That was kind of a problem in the first game too. Like, on my latest playthrough of the first, so that we're talking about Pokemon for Game Boy from way back in the day, like, you know, year 2000 or whenever that came out. And the chatter is playing the second one, which never had an English, like, they never came out with that in English. So I've never played it, but the first one, my most recent playthrough, I beat the whole game pretty much with just Farfetch'd and the Rattata line. So my opponent just Pokemon captured up my Pidgey, which is gonna work out really well for them if they have a way to knock it out this turn, which they probably will. It looks like they're playing Raging Bolt. Yeah. But if they don't, it's gonna be fine, right? Especially now that they've played that Pokestop. Hopefully I can crack it and get a Terapagos. This is a bit of a scuffed matchup. Like, it's a lot better than I used to think it was, because the problem with it is the Raging Bolt has 240, right? And so Terapagos has a max damage of 220 or 230 with Vitality Band. So this dodges all of that. But all you have to do is basically just ignore this thing and gust around it all game, trying to knock out the Ogerpon and whatnot. And then you're fine. Opponent has not used a supporter yet. In order to knock out Pidgey, they need one. If they can't attack this turn, they're toast. Well, I could still not get a Terapagos, in which case I'd lose. Maybe. But this really increases the odds a bit. So this stadium, once per turn, that player may discard 3 cards from the top of their deck. If that player discarded any item cards that way, then put them into your hand, and the rest are put into the discard pile. And so that can be a really helpful way to find Nest Ball or Ultra Ball or something and actually get my Terapagos. Or I could just top deck it and not have to discard a bunch of stuff. So that's great. That's really good. I love that for me. So now I don't even have to press that thing, which is great. The reason to Prime Catcher this up is twofold. One, they wanted to play it just to get the Raging Bolt active so they could use this attack, discard your hand, and draw 6 cards. You only do that as Raging Bolt if you're desperate, so it's bad news for them. Then So I want Rare Candy and probably Poffin. So, but also like not being able to knock out the Pidgey means that I can Rare Candy into Pidgeot and just retreat it. Whereas if the Rotom is active, I have to actually expend resources to be able to get it out of there. So I guess it'll be Rare Candy Poffin. Let me check my Pokemon. Do I have two things I want to get? So I can get Duskull and Hoothoot is prize. So I'd be filling my bench with stew. Maybe I'll get this. Alright, so now we can just go get another Hoothoot out of the prizes. Is another 2 Hoothoot in the prizes game? Or did I discard one already? Oh, I evolved one already. I'm silly. But yeah. We knew we had one in there, so it's fine. Then ideally our last spot would be a second Terapagos, which I guess I can get with this Noctowl. Yeah, there's that. I need a switch, and then I can spend the other one on Nest Ball for second Terapagos. I think I can get Prime Catcher, because we need to switch and we need to Gust this turn. So there's the Prime Catcher. And then where's the Nest Ball? There's a Nest Ball. Get our Terapagos. So they can replace the Stadium, which will make me discard, but they... now that I have 2 Terapagos, they can't just knock out Terapagos and force me to discard. So we'll get our friend Teal Ogerpon here. My opponent's deck is trying to get a bunch of energy in play to discard and deal 70 damage times the amount that they've discarded. And the Ogerpon are how they get those energy in play. So the Ogerpon has an ability that every turn you can attach a grass energy from your hand to it and draw a card. So it's a way to like cycle through your deck as well as get energy on the field, so you can discard it with Raging Bolt. And then so anyways, Ogerpon conveniently has 210 health, which falls under the 220 that Terapagos can do, and it had an energy on it, so that's one less energy that they have out on the field. Did I play Wild today? I'm not playing Wild until Sunday. Alright, so that's the supporter they wanted this turn. Sada Sada lets you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to up to 2 ancient Pokemon in play. So ancient is another one of those things that kind of gets cut off by this. It just says ancient. Ancient doesn't do anything. All it does is exist to be referenced by other stuff. Okay, so they replaced the Stadium, so I can no longer have 8 bench spots, so I have to discard down to 5. It's okay to do that, especially because I have Night Stretcher, which lets me get basics or lets me get Pokemon out of my discard pile and add them to my hand. So for example, if I had a Night Stretcher, I could get the Noctowl back now that just got discarded and use it on this Hoothoot that's ready to evolve. But I can only refill my bench so many times, so you want to avoid having your bench discarded as much as you can. Like, for some of these long grueling games where your opponent manages to replace the Stadium or knock out your only Terra Pokemon a couple of times, sometimes you fall 1 basic short of a load, either because you've run out of basics in your deck to get it out, or you've run out of things to get basics from your deck onto the bench. So ideally we won't have our bench discarded again, but we'll see how the game goes. Regidrago seems like a good deck so far. Regidrago is the nuts. I think it's probably the best deck in the game, but it's not like by enough of a margin to where you could say it is for sure. So anyways, sorry, I was like, I know I didn't complete a thought. What was it? So Professor Sada, you pick 2 of your ancient Pokemon in play and attach a basic Pokemon from a basic energy from your discard pile to each of them. Up to 2 ancient Pokemon, basic energy from your discard pile to each of them. and then draw 3 cards. So that's how they get this attack going. They attach either a fighting or lightning from their hand to the Pokemon, and then they use Sada to get whichever one you didn't attach from your discard pile onto it. So that's how you get a lightning and a fighting energy on it. So missing that on the turn 1 is why they have kind of a slow start here. They attached Bravery Charm up active to Raging Bolt, so now it has 290, but that was already unkillable to me at 240. So they really should have put it over here on the Ogre Pawn, because that would have prevented me from being able to bring this active and knock it out without Lost removing it. That's what I would have done. Let's see. Okay, here's the Night Stretcher. So I'm able to do this because they made me discard down. Do this. And then I get the Stadium again. See what our Pokemon situation is. So I guess I'm getting a Rotom out of my deck, unlucky. But I'll go get that Fezandipiti and that'll be nice. Alright. So Fezandipiti is really cool because it lets you... if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you can draw 3 cards. So it's a nice way for this deck to get card advantage. This deck is mostly a deck full of tutors, but it doesn't have a lot of like card advantage. So unique. That's kind of a unique thing for it. Now I'm in a position to where I could knock out this Raging Bolt, and I think I'm gonna. So if you... The Dusknoir lets you knock it out in order to put 130 damage on one of your opponent's Pokemon. But so this is how you can see how the Bravery Charm doesn't do anything, right? Because if I'm going to knock out this Raging Bolt, I have to knock out a Dusknoir anyway. So like that 50 damage didn't make or break whether that could happen. But also doing that right before Iono is really good, because now my opponent had Iono is both players put their hand on the bottom of their deck and then draw cards equal to the amount of prizes they have left. So my opponent had 4 prizes left, but now they have 3 because I forced them to take a knockout from using my Dusknoir. So maybe I should have played that Pidgey. 180 minus 20, 160. It's already enough, right? Like I didn't need, even if I hadn't top decked that, it was already enough, but maybe I still should have. I don't know. Because like, guess I'll get this. Something I know I'll need for next turn if they knock out Terapagos, so we'll get that for now. It's nice to like not need anything right away. But anyways, so I'm gonna not fill my bench more here. Because I don't need it to take the knockout, and that way it'll be less devastating resource-wise if they manage to replace that Stadium again. I'm very sick. Would love to hear your favorite commander interactions, you know, combo or such. So something I was looking at yesterday, there's I was flirting with the idea of building a mono black deck. Commander is a Highlander in Magic the Gathering format, so only one of any card. You have a 99 card deck, and then you have 1 card that is your commander, which can be cast from your command zone. And that's like enough to know, I guess, context. But there's this funny interaction I was looking at yesterday. There's this card, Sensei's Divining Top. It's a 1-cost artifact. For 1 mana, you can look at your top 3 cards and rearrange them. And you can also tap it to draw a card and put the top on the top of your deck. It's just a generally really good card to be able to always be able to manipulate the top 3 cards of your deck for 1 mana. It's useful for a lot of things. But this interaction I was looking at, I do not remember the name of the artifact, this other one. I just saw it yesterday for the first time. It costs 4, and so now I just get to search my deck for a boss and win. Yay for me. This boss in here it is. So I'll just bring up Squawkabelly. So it's a 4-cost artifact that whenever you cast a spell, casting a spell is basically playing a card. Whenever you cast a spell, you would gain a life for each spell you've cast this turn, right? So there's Bolas's Citadel, which lets you play cards off the top of your deck. Like you can look at the top card of your deck and you can play a card off the top of your deck. You can pay life instead of the mana of that card. So what you do is you have your Sensei's Divining Top, you use its tap effect to draw a card and put it on the top of your deck, and then you use Bolas's Citadel to pay a life to cast the Sensei's Divining Top from the top of your deck, which is you casting a spell for that other artifact, so you gain a life. Then you put the top back on, and then recast it for a life, but you gain 2 life this time because you cast 2 spells. And then you crack it again, draw a card, goes on the top of your deck, and you keep that cycle going for as long as you have deck to play, but you gain like just an incredible amount of life, right? Because like once you've done that 5 times, you know, it's 5 life you gain when you do it. Once you've done it 10 times, it's 10 life you gain. So you just keep doing that until you have a bunch of life to spare. But then there's a secondary effect on the artifact that gains you a bunch of life for every spell you've played this turn, which is take 50 damage to yourself to deal 50 damage. So once you've just gotten a ton of life, then you just deal 50 damage to all of your opponents, and it doesn't matter that you had to deal 150 damage to yourself because you had all that life from the thing. So I was like looking at combos for the Son of Yawgmoth deck, and I had to stare at that one for a minute. I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. They're using the top goes back on the top effect to go infinite. So it was spicy.